Hello, and thank you for stopping by. I'm your host, Jerry Royce, and welcome to Positive Power 21 Network, where you get your positive on. This is a worldwide podcast for growth, wealth, and success. Thank you.
Positive Power 21.org, Internet Radio.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to positivepower21.org. I'm your host, Jerry Royce. When it's all positive, it's all power. Positive Power 21. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Either it's pre-recorded or if it's live, I welcome you all. Before we get started and I introduce my guests, I want to talk a little bit about my sponsors. I have to appreciate the sponsors because they keep the lights on. All right, we have Fast Tech Solutions. Their website is up. You can they are IT consultants. So if you need anything, that's fasttechsolutions.net. They're covering Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and D.C. He also owns a special family sauce called Sauce Snob, Serrano Marinara sauce. I know I got that wrong, but you guys know what it is. And it's coming to a grocery really, really soon. So they're actually working on a few things. So, just keep that sauce in mind. So when you recognize it on the shelf, you just snatch it on up. And don't forget about the beautiful, beautiful Lori Williams on the D.C. side, the Songbird. Her website is lorijazz.com, and she has CDs on her site for sale. And don't forget about Zuki Pet Gifts. And the website is right there for you to click on. And our new sponsor on the eBay side is my man Andy. He has a store called the Finely Dressed Man. And right now I think they're taking bids for Will Smith's suit. Last time I looked, which was yesterday, it was over $1,000 for a beautiful slim silk suit for anybody who's around a height of 6'2". Go ahead and get your bid in and get that Will Smith suit. And also we have Jerry's blog, The Daily Dreamer, Positive Power and the Dreamer Tour, where we send positive messages and information we think you need, like resume writing. So we do have a career coach on there for you. All the information is updated weekly. So that'll be fantastic for you to become a subscriber, and we'll soon have that link available for you. All right, don't forget about Jerry's TV, where we get a chance to pump you up in the morning, get you motivated. Also, we have another link on the site that's called, it's like our club page. It's like house music, like Baltimore house music. You want to get yourself the juices flowing, go ahead and hit that page called Club Music on 21. We found some serious DJs that, I know it's tough in the morning. You don't always want to drink coffee to get yourself going, so sometimes a little music won't hurt you. All right, so tonight on the show we have Kenneth Johnson. He's coming out of Waxahachie. Well, oh man, I messed it up already, but he's coming out of Texas. I was all ready to say that name, and I messed it up. Anyway, he's an executive officer or a national chairperson for the Black Affairs Advisory Council. Coming out of Texas area, he represents the federal government. And we're going to talk a little bit about what they do and how he represents and, bring, filter information down to the African Americans that's in the federal government. He's a motivational speaker. He's been married for 34 years. March 15th, he was married for 34 years. And he has one daughter. And we're going to talk a little bit about his family. We're going to talk about him. So welcome to the show, Kenneth. How you doing tonight?
I'm great. Doing just great. Excited about being here and the opportunity to share.
That's right, man. We appreciate you, too, man. We really appreciate it. I know it's going to be a learning experience tonight. All right. And before we get started, like we always ask our guests, give us a little background about yourself so we can get to know you a little bit before we dive into some deep conversation. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Just a little background. I'm a native Arkansan, born and raised in a little city called Camden, Arkansas, just about 34 miles north of a city called Hope, if you'll remember that from Mr. William Clinton. I am educated by and through the Arkansas school system, and I'm a graduate of a college called Henderson State University. I have a degree in business administration. And I have been working for the Social Security Administration for 32 years. I started in September of 1981.
Wow.
Today, I'm currently working as a field office district manager in the city called Waxahachie, Texas. That's just about 30 miles south of Dallas. So if you're ever in the area, it's a quaint little town. They boast the presence of gingerbread houses and a lot of historic properties that you might find very, very interesting.
Very good, very good. And we appreciate that warming us up. All right, man. Now, let's talk a little bit about what the national chairperson do for the Black Affairs, and just to give our audience a little, background about that organization. We call them BAAC for short because we're so big on acronyms at that organization.
Okay. The organization started in 1981. It was founded in what they call the Office of Disability and Adjudicated Review, or in the old days they called it OHA, the Office of Hearing and Appeals. And the goal and objective of the group was to provide information to African American employees on how to be advanced in their careers. And on the flip side of that was to provide information to the community about how the agency administers programs that were relevant to them. African Americans need to know that there are unique things that our people need to understand about the system. And we are advocates for sharing that information wherever possible.
That's right. Very good. And that's a pretty powerful organization here in Baltimore. I haven't been involved with the group over in headquarters, but over in Security West, the president is Vincent Rawlings Jr., and he actually was my manager for a good while, and we kind of really bonded, and I got him involved with a mentoring program I was working with across the street from where we was working. We was working in one of those off-site buildings, and I said, wow, we're right in the community with this high school, and let me go over and see what's going on. So when I found out there was no businesses really involved with them, he jumped right in, got his organization organized, and we started not signing people up, but getting people, what's that word I was looking for? Clearance done. We got their clearance done, and they're ready to come in to be volunteers for some of the young men and women that go to that high school. And so I know what the organization does. Now, as a national speaker or national chairperson, what's exactly is your role?
As the national chairperson for the organization, my job is to provide a vision and a direction for the group in order to achieve our stated objectives. And again, ideally, what we want to do is first to provide guidance to our employees on how to enhance their skill sets so that they can be successful in the job that they're in. And if they happen to be interested in a career change, then the skills training that we provide also helps to prepare them to advance. The secondary part of what we do is to help educate our community, the African American community, about the programs administered by the agency. So as the chair, my job is to provide guidance to chapters across the country about development in community activities, lead and coordinate activities with other community-based organizations to help get the word out. We conduct national leadership training meetings biannually. Then we have regional meetings in the odd years where we go out and provide training and leadership mentoring direction to all employees who are interested. And though we primarily focus in the African American community, we are open to all federal employees who are interested in learning more about skill development and becoming the best that they can be. Our goal is to help add value so that every person is able to reach their true potential.
That's right. And I must say, Kenneth, sometimes you be part of organizations and they just a lot of air. Nothing's really being done, no action plan. But I must say, for those lunch and learns, when you guys have executives come over to speak, to a lot of the new employees who, just coming on board, don't really understand the culture. I must say, man, those speaking series were oh man, it's almost hard. It was so powerful. I mean, I was taking notes. I think I wrote a book from Billy Donner's segments that he used to do, because I think I had heard him these 4 times. And Kawan, when she used to come speak, it was like standing room only. You had to get there early if she was on the bill to be a speaker. Now I had an opportunity to listen to you through a teleconference call with the leadership development participants for the 2012 group, and I just thought she was dynamite, and that's the reason why I asked you to come on the show, because I said, wow, this guy is good, and we need to bring him out here on this show so people can find out exactly what he's involved in and understand what executive leaders, what their responsibilities are to, well, at least with BAAC, with our organization, what was your responsibilities and duties are. Now, on that note, you had talked about on that conference call that you and Kawan, you guys had an opportunity to visit the White House. Man, we got to hear about that.
Ms. Allman is actually the what they call the external associate commissioner for SSA, and what she did was she hosted what they call a White House round table stakeholders meeting. Mm-hmm. And the organizations that were invited were representatives of various historical groups throughout the African American community, and they were tasked with talking with them about what SSA was doing to reach the community. And we heard from the executive leaders of the agency, and I was there as the national chairperson for the Black Affairs Advisory Council to represent the community-based organization from within SSA. Mm-hmm. I want to tell you that whenever you are involved in one of these opportunities to share, it was really humbling, but it was also very encouraging to hear that nationally people are really concerned about meeting the needs of our people. They are concerned about how do we communicate, share, and educate our people so that they are able to benefit from every element of the government that they can. And so wow. The experience was very enriching, and I can't say enough about what it meant to be a part of that process.
That's right. Yeah, because she was trying to explain it to me. We had a one-on-one, and she was just so funny when she was telling me how close she was to the president. I thought she told me she shook his hand. Did
well,
you witness
I did not
that?
get close enough to shake his hand, so but I imagine that in her position, she probably gets close enough to look at him, talk to him, and certainly be of a resource to him.
Yes, man. She is so funny, man. She had me rolling. She said, Jerry, I was right there. I thought she told me she shook his hand. I'm not 100% sure, but I was listening to her and I was kind of visualizing myself, sitting there and shaking his hand, at the White House in the Oval Office, wherever you guys were meeting at. That is fantastic, man. And you're right. The White House, they have some concerns, especially right now. The big news thing now is the African American males and the Hispanic males are the data is showing that they're just so far behind their counterparts. And I'm glad that people like Magic Johnson and a lot of brothers that are helping running some of these big corporations, and then some of these leaders from these faith-based organizations are joining forces with the federal government, because now he's actually I think he signed a memorandum that will help foster some foundation money to help with the organizations that are successful in these schools, and then model what they're doing to some of the schools that don't have any functioning programs. Now I'm lucky. I was able to benefit from I'm not gonna say I'm lucky. I was blessed to run into the Woodlawn High School in Baltimore County with Principal Scriven and his coordinator, Ms. Yolanda Booker. Before then, it was James Martin and Anthony Mooring and a lady named Ms. Logan Washington that I was working with very closely during American Education Week, we will come in to the school, work with the young boys, bring different speakers, exposing them to different types of, people who will come from different educational experiences, and because these kids were college bound, and then we have one of the executives come in and do the keynote speech, the Benjamin Carson lecture series, they call it. Man, I have done that 2 years in a row, and from working with them, it kind of sparked me to say, hey, we need to do more. And then when I heard that the president was stepping up and bringing all these organizations, then that's when I went to Kawan after talking to Dr. Wells, and then she was like, yes, we must do this. So we actually adopted the school, and we're kind of in talks right now on how we're going to help them move these young boys forward, man. So now I had asked you before, did you know anything about that happening in the federal government? Are you guys leading the charge with the national organization, the BAAC, or is this something you just find a little bit about from me?
We are not yet directly involved with that project. One of the things that happens is BAAC has over 55 chapters across the country, and each of the chapters have their own community-based initiatives, and many of them already have mentoring programs. And while this initiative that Mr. Obama is talking about is probably going to take on and have some strong tenets throughout the agency and BAAC, at this point we really are not deeply involved, but we will probably get there within the year.
Absolutely, because we did reach out to the headquarters president. His name always slide across. I mean, I've always missed his name for some reason, but he was actually sitting in a meeting, and we definitely going to be out there getting mentors and recruiting mentors and moving forward with helping these young men, and then it's going to be kind of exciting to see what some of these private organizations, how they're going to fit in. Is it going to be monetary, or are they going to be sponsoring events for these boys? Because I know Microsoft, Bill Gates, has been very generous, and I think Baltimore County is actually looking at several vendors who are going to be furnishing devices for all these kids to take home, which I thought was big. And then they're going to have free access to the internet. Because you know what was so funny, Kenneth, and I want to get your piece on this. My mom is a school teacher, and she used to say, how are the poor kids are going to compete with the kids, well, even the middle-class families that have internet? I mean, because these kids come home, and they have internet, and they can get all the information they want to do their home assignment. What about the kids that don't have the money to afford $60, $70 for internet? She was always asking me that question, how do they do their homework? So I'm going to ask you, do you guys see that same problem existing in Texas?
I think that if that's a problem that exists everywhere where there's an economic challenge. But one of the things that I think is very important to realize is that with a little innovative effort, many people can find access to the internet for free. Most of the public libraries have free computers with free access to the internet. Many of the larger churches, the mega churches in the African American community, in fact, have network systems that are available to people. In some communities, particularly in my own, there is a community-based organization called Water from the Rock. They provide network access and training and computer tutelage. And so it is available to people, and they just have to be able to look for opportunities that allow them to gain access. But it is not an impossible task, but it does take some effort. They can look for some of the other organizations, some of the groups that do have funds. I think someone said, and I'm not certain if it's true, but that the Urban League did have resources where people might go to some of their meetings and utilize their systems.
That's right. And the Urban League is really big in the Baltimore area. I know that because I actually was employed with them for a number of years. All right, Kim. So we're gonna move forward. We're gonna talk about you a little bit as a leader and what it takes to be a good leader. How long have you been in the management for the federal government?
I started with the agency in 1981, And in 1986, I moved into the management ranks. So
wow.
out of my 32 years, I've spent 27 years in management.
Wow. Now you haven't been managing the same office all this time, have you?
No. The structure in the organization provides that you enter the management ranks as an operations supervisor, and then you can move to various levels of management from there. And I started out in supervisory role in Fort Worth, Texas, and then moved around and up through the organization until I was able to reach the level of district manager.
All right, good.
So,
now, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, now, since you've been a manager for so long now, you have seen a new group of employees come in. You know, you watch the seasoned employees walk out the door, and then you have the new age employees coming in now. And a lot of these kids, they don't even have manuals on their desk. They do everything on the internet. You know, they don't bring stuff to work for their desk, that kind of thing. Do you see a big? I mean, have you guys been able to hire? I know recently there was no hire, but let's say like 07, 08, did you guys benefit from the hiring?
The hiring authority that's dispersed through the agency is always identified with budgetary restrictions, and I would think, my memory, we did probably have some hires, and you get those though based on your office workload and need. And since the hiring is nationwide, for example, in this year they are going to be bringing on 3,900 people in the agency itself, and when they were able to go across the country and distribute the workload into various components, my particular office did not get what they call a hiring slot. However, some offices got one, others got two or three. So there is a windfall. Many times, if they are unable to give you an outside hire where they bring in someone who hasn't worked for the agency, you are able to advertise what we call an internal promotion, and then there are opportunities for you to promote people who have been in service to the government in a different position. And so we've continually been able to do that, even though there's not been outside hiring authority. We've been able to continually promote employees to different levels within the agency.
All right, good. Now, where I was going is, you see, are there different challenges with employees now? I mentioned work-life balance when I had sent you, a document over, explain what we're going to talk about. That's a real big topic right now. I guess because there must be certain groups that's being challenged with, or the agency just don't want to see people burn themselves. I'm not even sure why work life is such a big topic right now. Could you explain why?
I believe that workload balance is a very critical and key issue for us to address and to embrace, primarily because it says that as a person, as a being, I'm going to have a work time and I'm going to have a rest time. And that's very important as we deal with the challenges that we face as employees. It's a very stressful job where you deal with a number of people who have medical issues, many changes that come up in their lives that may have been brought on unexpectedly. Not everybody that comes to Social Security is coming because they retired, but many come because they have suddenly become ill or lost a loved one. And as we provide services to those people, our goal is to help them through that transition as best we can. It can take its toll. The workload is increasing. The work is very technical, and as that work increases and we have fewer people to do it, being able to manage stress and to de-stress and to separate from the work is very important for you to refresh and remain vital. So workload balance says, in my opinion, that you're going to be able to come to work in a day, manage your time well, do the best job you can do in an 8-hour period, and then you're going to go home, de-stress from the job and focus on family and be able to spend that time with your family, spouse, children, providing the kind of nurture and attention that they need to maintain healthy, wholesome relationships that equip our children for the future. And
right.
We want to be able to see that on a continued basis. It's not a good thing that your work-life balance is out of proportion, where you spend 10, 12, 15 hours in a day, and then there is no time for you to see Johnny and Susie before they go to bed, and they don't get to know who mother or father is in an intimate way. So workload balance is important, and the ability to bring and achieve balance in your life brings you a sense of harmony and a sense of peace, and it allows you to grow emotionally, and hopefully, if you can grow spiritually when you have time to concentrate on that aspect of your life.
That's right. That's right, and it is very important. A lot of private organizations are having the same challenges as well. You're seeing a lot of seasoned employees, go out in retirement. You have a lot of, new employees coming on. This is probably their first, real career job. And then you have to kind of teach them, that it's okay to be with organizations and fellowship with them and your church groups. And then, like you said, get that refreshed. But now you're finding that companies to me, they talking that talk, but it's just so much work. And then I'm finding out, after being in management myself, and there was so many different leadership styles, it seems like now private organizations and as well as government, they're not interested in the pushy bosses anymore, the ones that's only concerned about the work and not the welfare of their employees. Because like you said, you do have employees that have health problems, but also I found a lot of my employees I had were dealing with aging parents, and they had to take off some time to take care of their parent, appointments, medication, doctor visits, whatever, and they come back, and then they got to turn back on and get the workout that's just been sitting since they've been gone. Have you seen the challenges with that part of some of your employees, and you're there for them as a manager and a person?
I have principles that I teach as a mentor to managers and to leaders. Some of the things I tell people, one of the things I tell people is that when you are getting ready to embrace change and growth and work with other people, there's a process that you have to use that accounts for how we deal with one another. I call it the P principles. It's my book. It's not yet published, but just an excerpt from it. It talks about, I call it the P principles. The first P of the principle, it talks about people. No leader can be effective at his or her job if he does not have a relationship and an understanding with the people he's expected to lead. If you can't connect with people, then it's not likely they're going to follow you, because we fail to realize that in many ways people give you permission to lead them. And if you have not connected with them in such a way that they grant you permission to lead them, then they'll interact with you, but they may or may not be effective in their positions, and they may or may not connect. So I teach first that the first key to dealing with in any job, career opportunity, you need to deal with people. Learn people, establish relationship with people, understand and respect people, build a rapport with them. That leads you into the second P, which I call processes. And many times people will be taught a step or action plan for achieving a particular work project, but they'll go to their desk and they'll commute that process to something that's convenient for them. They'll say, oh, well, it's steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but I really don't think step 4 is necessary. And so just because they figure there's a shortcut, they drop one of the steps. And
Ooh.
that process can lead to faulty work, less than satisfactory work. So you need people to believe in processes, but you can't get them to believe in processes, embrace and uphold processes if they don't have some ownership. And they don't have ownership unless there is a relationship. So as we move into a new era of leading, it's important for us to understand that, yes, learning to empower people to do their job, helping them to be the best they can be, respecting who they are, valuing their differences and their diversity, helping to encourage them to reach their potential is a much stronger way and a much more effective way to lead and achieve results. So that, you know, when you think about that, the challenges that are facing us, yes, Americans are seeing our parents live longer, and so elder care comes into play as much as it is for child care. And all of those things require us to change our approach. So my two of the principles that I would talk about there would be people and processes and how they interrelate to help you achieve, once again, balance, help you to connect, help you to build working relationships that based on mutual, reciprocal relationships that each person is gaining from the exchange.
Yes. All right. Man, you didn't tell me you was offering a book, man. That's what I do. I talk to authors. So we got to get you back on when you release that book. You know it.
Well, we'll have to do that. But you know, it's as I said, over time as a manager, one of the things that has been a very good fortune for me is the opportunity to work with other people and provide coaching, if you will, mentoring to help people try to reach success in their careers. And you know, many of the techniques and things that we talk about to be successful in career jobs are basically life lessons that help us to be successful in our personal lives as well. And so, you know, it's just a matter of us coming to an understanding that we're not an island. We're not different from work and at home. We really are the same people wherever we go because we bring our heart, soul, and character and integrity with us wherever we go, whether we're fathers, whether we're husbands, brothers, friends. We are still the same people, and our integrity is going to show forth wherever we are.
That's right. And while we're talking about leadership and your P's and your principle, one of the things I found out that was a crazy trend that went on when we didn't have a lot of internal hiring going or promotions, that a lot of people who never thought about management were looking at opportunities as managing. And a lot of these people were really, really good technicians. They were, you know, they stayed to themselves. They were more, I guess, what you call introverted, and they weren't really people, I say, or people friendly, or you know, user friendly on the back end, right? And they were moving into these manager jobs, and it wasn't really for them. But the front office was trying to support them the best they could, you know. But it was just causing so much ruckus on the floor that the work was going out bad because people were upset. Attendance was getting bad. I say tardiness, leave was. I mean, Mondays was awful, man. I was just like, oh my gosh, there's nobody here. You know, who's going to do the work? You know, and so when I got into management, I knew that was a major problem. So once I started doing round tables, meeting with the people, just getting to know them and to say, hey, you know I have to work for the front office. We have work to do. But first I want to, you know, because they said something. This is what they said that was so funny, Kenneth. And I always ask each manager how they interpret it. The front office to say, and this is coming from the executive, they say, get to know your people. Get to know your people. And they never really say how to get to know. You kind of interpret yourself, okay, yeah, I like getting to know people. I love talking to strangers, right? But I asked some friends or some people I know that were in management, you know, how did you get to know your people? They said, well, when you get to know your people, you want to know the ones, because you know it's only 80%. Only 80% of the people was going to do, but they say 20% of the work or something. They said like that, right? Yep. I was okay.
20% of the people do 80% of the work.
Yeah, there you go. And then they say you find out who they are, and those are the ones you're going to be pushing. And the other ones, you just be happy that they came to work and got out whatever they got. So you make sure you don't give them the hard stuff. You try to get them the fast track. So everybody give me that strategy. I said, is that what they said? Get to know their work habits or get to know them, as people. So that's what I was catching, man. So what do they really mean?
Let me say that as a manager, what you want to first believe is that every person has value.
That's
First
right.
of all, you never enter into a job and say, well, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to X out all the people who have, these people don't have anything they can contribute to my success. And so I'm going to identify the 20%, and then I'm just going to let the rest of the 80% do as they will, flounder and not succeed. So as an effective leader, what you want to say is that everybody can bring value to the organization. Now, that's what I mean when I say you have to learn people and appreciate their diversity. Each of us are gifted differently. Each of us are differently enabled. And what you have to be able to do as a creative and responsible leader is to help identify what that person's strengths are so that they, too, can feel that they contribute and add value, that the work that they do is worthwhile. Now, while all of us are not going to achieve on the same level, it doesn't mean that you can't be effective, and it doesn't mean that you can't be successful, and it doesn't mean that you can't be a major contributor in a job. So I don't subscribe to the notion that all I really need to know is the 20%, because as the population ages, Jerry, what's going to happen is that 20% that you've been concerned about, that you've been focused on, that you've been developing is going to mature and retire, and that 80% is going to be left behind, and they're going to be undertrained and ill-prepared to take on the task of the future. So if you're going to be a responsible leader, you have to be willing to say, wait a minute, I need you to understand, come here, people, I need you to understand that growth and change occur at the intersection of hope and opportunity. You got to come in here and understand that every day there's going to be a corner you can turn, and there's going to be hope that you have you're prepared to do what you need to do, and the opportunity is going to present itself. They're going to intersect, and you're going to grow. You're going to be different, and you're going to be a person who adds value. But it comes with preparation.
That's right.
No responsible leader can come to the table and tell you that they are responsible or that they care about people, and they don't invest in trying to identify what that person's strengths and weaknesses are. Now let me tell you something else, Jerry. In order for you to grow, the first thing you have to be willing to do is do an introspective review of what your strengths are yourself.
That's right.
Nobody can tell you who you are. I always ask people, what is it that you say you are good at? And if you believe that you're good at it, then what is your evidence of that? I say that if you can't prove who you are and you can't see evidence in who you are, then nothing that I say or do is going to contribute to that. And the reverse of that is true. What do you say your problems are? And if you can identify what your problem is, then what is your plan for fixing your problem? If I identify your weakness and I try to tell you what it is you need to do, then you rebuff what I have to say, because perhaps you say I'm prejudiced, I'm insensitive, and I'm not paying attention to what your real worth is. But if you won't do anything with what you say is wrong with you, then who can change? Who can change that? So, no, I think that, again, when I talk about becoming aware of your people, it is recognizing who the individual is, what they bring to the table, valuing and their talent, whatever that talent happens to be. Everybody isn't going to be able to do everything on the same level, but everybody can do something that pushes and moves the organization, the group forward. Everybody has value, and no leader of color should be able to point out in the group that there are people who don't have value, because historically it has been said that the people who didn't have value were the people of color.
That's right.
And if you're gonna start isolating people and caveating them, you got to be careful, because we forget what we've been through, what we come from, and we don't want to say that the only person who has value is this person, because I may not look like my leader. It doesn't mean that I don't have value, and it doesn't mean that I don't have ability. It doesn't mean that I can't grow. And if given the opportunity, what would it be that I could become? Jerry, I'm a little older now, but when you reflect on the past, and we talked about how in the past, in the civil rights movement before, there were no leaders, no presidents, no lawyers, no doctors, in the early years that we could look up to. Everybody we looked up looked differently than us. And so the question is, if we're going to come into the organization like SSA and realize that there are still gaps in opportunity, and there's still a lack of presence, as you have mentioned earlier about the presence of people of color in leadership roles, and then we're going to come in and then isolate and say, well, there's only 20% of y'all that's going to be worth anything, then I beg to differ, because what happens if you try to isolate me in the box? I will not be caveated. I will not be held down. I will not be chained. I want to break every chain that would hold down my opportunity. You have to be prepared to fight ignorance. You have to be saying, no, as a leader, everybody in here can bring some value. You may not be able to write a computer program, but you could be able to. You could encourage somebody who could, and then that has brought about the necessary motivation and the necessary encouragement to keep that person moving.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
I subscribe to the notion that while there's going to be fewer, perhaps, people who are going to have maximum skill set in some high technology level, but every single person has value, and you can make that 20% be great. And a good leader, Jerry, realizes that my job is not to just make outstanding employees, but my job is take the average and do the extraordinary.
That's right.
Take the little bit and make more out of it, and that's how we grow. I'm sorry.
That's true. That's true.
Struck a nerve. I apologize.
I know. But it's funny you said that, because you're validating my leadership style. I mean, it's always been that way. Even when I was with the Urban League, when I was a facilitator, I got a group of 30 people every 30 days, and my job was to get them jobs. Get them out there. Job hunting in the phone book, in the newspaper. We didn't have internet back then, so we had to get on the phone and go through the newspaper. And I knew at the end of every workshop that only 80 to 85% of those people were going to have a job. The other 20 or maybe 15% was still hanging around in the office. Maybe when they went out, when they leave, they went home or went shopping. Who knows? But it seemed like the numbers were always the same. So then when you hear the 80-20, it's like, wow, that number sounds familiar. Because my boss was always saying, wow, I wonder if we can ever have 95% of our participants have a job at the end of the 30 days. So that was my goal. That was my goal, man. And I'm glad you brought that. And another thing that happened to me, when I was a supervisor for the health department, I was like an interim supervisor until they found someone. I only had 2 people that was working with me. We worked in a team, and our job was to go out there and do outreach and to spread the news that the health department and the federal government had money to treat homes that had lead in them, and to help these families with kids that had lead poison. And we also did relocation with these families. And the funny thing, I had one guy I didn't have to worry about. He'd go out there, he'd handle maybe a amount of projects that it would take 2 or 3 people. But then I had this female with me. It took her a lot longer. So I just took her with me. And she brought so much to the table, because she had the nurturing part. Because a lot of times these people were really upset, Kenneth, about moving out of their home. They've been there for years, and you're talking about we have to pack up every single thing, throw out the stuff you don't need, and we're going to move all your stuff that you want to carry with you in a 2-3 bedroom apartment while the contractor work on your house. So that was very stressful for a lot of families. So just thinking about what you were saying about people bringing value, that was the value I remember her bringing. So when I was able to benefit from Social Security to get hired as a manager for 2 details, I was able to bring that same leadership style, because I know everybody's not going to work the same, and I wasn't expecting them to, and I wasn't going to try to stress them out, but I was going to be there for them and find out what their talents were, so if an opportunity ever come up somewhere else, which a lot of them do, I know who to go to. So you validated me, man. Thanks a million.
I appreciate it. I think we're probably nearing the time where we're done. Is that right?
No, man. We got a little bit of time now. Well, we're at the top of the hour now, where we want to talk a little bit about you. What do you and your family do for fun? What do you look forward to when the summer months are coming, or the weather warms up? So we want to hear about Kenneth Johnson.
Well, what we do, we are pretty settled people, and we like vacationing. We like traveling, if you will, going to different spots, exploring different things. Of course, we're mature now. Our daughter is adult, and so we're able to do things just a little differently. So we mainly enjoy traveling. We enjoy the culinary experience, and we like going to different places to eat and experiencing new cuisine. We're people of faith, so we enjoy worship and praise. So we try to do a little bit of everything. We travel. We enjoy. We've even taken dance classes and learned to do the swing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We just try to explore anything that looks interesting to us. But we're pretty settled. We're avid readers and writers, and so that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, because you're talking about 34 years. You're talking about different chapters of your life. Of course, you spent a great deal, both of you, working on your careers and raising your daughter. And now you're talking about you're at another chapter of your life where you're able to sit down and focus on your writing and do some reading. You have to worry about taking her to band practice or cheerleading. And right now, later on, maybe if she has children and you become a grandparent, then you'll be back starting over, running kids to soccer practice and things like that.
No. I've graduated from that, and while I'll be excited to have grandchildren, I don't anticipate that I'm going to be the type of grandfather that's going to be restricting their schedule. Now, everyone tells me that I can say that now, but
that's right.
When I get them, I'm going to change my mind.
That's right, man. You're going to change your mind.
But I'm going to be excited about that opportunity. We'll see where it takes me. We'll see.
That's right. Because I'm ready now, man. Because I have my oldest is 30, and he looks like he's close to getting married, and then it didn't work out, Dad. I was oh man, when I'm gonna become a grandparent? But the funny thing, and I was telling you earlier, I have my youngest son is only 11, so I'm still running him around because he likes to go to the gym. So I have to hang out at the gym for an hour and watch him work out. Maybe I should be doing the same thing. Sometimes I take a walk if the weather is nice, and right now it's too cold to do that. And then my daughter, she studies martial arts. She dances, play instruments and sing and do a lot of things. So I'm still, like the soccer dad, running them all over the place. Then he plays football on Sundays. So I don't really have a lot of free time that I can just say, okay, I'm going to take up a sport. This was going to be the year I was going to get back into cycling with a good friend of mine that works at the job. He has a bike club, but all those guys' children are out the house like yours. So it's like, oh man, what days you got? Are you guys gonna ride on Sundays? They said, no, we ride on Saturday. I said, Saturdays? I cannot do anything that I want to do on a Saturday, but do yard work and help clean up the house. And of course, that's when we do our family activities, with our, the in-laws and everything. So. You're blessed, man.
Yes, I really, really am. I really, really am.
And we the same age, and I'm doing the things that you were doing, years ago. Well, it's like a repeat for me because, like I said, my oldest son is 30, so it's like I'm back at it again. It's just like having grandkids, man.
Well,
so that's why if he has his child now, I'll be ready.
I just told you, everybody's differently abled, and you certainly are proving that point with that second family.
That's right, man. And see, my thing now is that I enjoy most is always wanted to get in the radio. My friends and I, we had a DJ group growing up, but we were mobile DJs. But I always wondered what it was like to be, those real popular DJs that were doing those mixes at night. Some of them were in clubs playing on the air, or they were talk talkers, and I always wanted to be the one, not play the music, but play somebody else's music, but at the same time have a chance to open the mic up for people who otherwise wouldn't have a platform, to be able to express themselves. I always believed in the informer, being an informer, of news that people couldn't get because it's underground. So I always say, okay, I got an underground podcast, bring people in that people wouldn't otherwise know anything about, like someone like you. You have a book about to come out. Hopefully by the time your book is released, I have an audience that's the size of Texas, but they're all over the place, and we'll be able to help you move copies. Now, one of the things I've been hearing, Kim, that's been so amazing, I had a guest on, and she told me that she signed with a publisher. I'm not sure how they found her. And she's at the end of her first trilogy, and that's kind of the trend now. You have to do the trilogy, and then you move into something else. She has to put out a book every 4 months, and she told me since August she has moved 25,000 units. Isn't that crazy?
That is phenomenal.
I know.
I said, it's that successful.
I know, and she said because with the internet, her association for organization, the social media, it doesn't take much for you to get out. I think the biggest thing now about going to conferences now or book events and signings is that the people who read your blogs and everything and look at your videos have an opportunity to meet you now. So it's more like a meeting place than it's just a place for selling. Because remember before, they did the book signings because they're trying to sell a book. They don't know anything about the people coming, and but these people heard of them, from somewhere or another. But now it seems like the tide has kind of changed. And let me just ask you, what do you know so far about the book industry? Because I know you're kind of anxious to get in. You're writing now.
I have actually done no real research. I basically started gathering the material for my book. Just through life experiences. And as I said, having gone through a number of years of providing training and mentoring and coaching, then I started putting together the different segments. I believe that it was laid on my heart. The Spirit led me to the P principles, and so I've just been trying to fulfill that direction. And I'm not yet ready to do that, but as I go around and go to different locations to do presentations, then I just share what I call excerpts from the book and talk about the relevancy of the issue. And, if it gets published, great. I'm going to be excited about that. If it gets just one book and it's just mine and the only person who buys it is my daughter or my wife, then, I will have at least sold a book and I'll be a published author. So
That's right.
I'm good with, I'm not doing it because I necessarily hope to gain wealth as much as I hope to empower and encourage someone else who may can benefit from the experiences that I've had and what processes have been successful for me.
It sounds like it's going to be a wonderful publication, man. And I think, your life experience is perfect for this time right now because people are struggling with leadership right now. And I think by you living it and your career has been so long in season, I think it would be a wonderful publication for somebody to get their hands on. So I wish you the best, man. And we definitely want to have you on when that publication is completed. So don't forget about it.
Appreciate it. I will not forget about you.
That's right, man. That's right. Don't forget about Jerry Royce. All right. But look, we learned a lot about you, Kenneth. I mean, I thought you was amazing when I first heard you on a teleconference call, and I think you're even more amazing now that we had this discussion. And I know that the good Lord has so much on the plate for you to do, man. I think your life is just beginning.
I appreciate that. I wanted to, before we hang up, and it sounds like we're wrapping up, I wanted to share something with you. I was blessed to be in another region outside of the Dallas region at a meeting, and I heard something that touched me. And I want to share that with you as
absolutely.
Your listeners.
Many
times when we are in jobs as African Americans, we often feel that we are the ones left behind, We're the ones overlooked. We're the ones who do the work, and nobody ever gives us the value and appreciation that we feel is adequate for the service and sacrifice that we've made. And we tell ourselves that it's never going to happen for us. And so I know that one of the things we do is we encounter people, we realize that prejudice and ignorance still exists. We realize the discrimination is still an ugly but real animal that exists in our world, and regrettably, in instances, we see it in our workplace, and we want all that to be eradicated. But until the change comes, Jerry, I want you to keep these things in mind. I learned them, and they are really important to me, and I reflect on them all the time. There are three things. One, the truth doesn't matter. I want you to just think about that for a second, and we'll talk about it real quickly. The truth doesn't matter. Two, you always have a choice. And three, it is never too late. Now, the truth doesn't matter says that, you look around you and you think that everything is, that people will tell you that it's impossible. But nothing is impossible with God. And I don't care what people say and how people try to tell you you can't achieve. You can. You look around you on Dancing with the Stars. There's a lady who has false legs dancing. Ooh. What people say you can't do can be done. What people say you can't do, it's a matter of if you're willing to believe it. So if you recognize that those truths that other people espouse about what can't be done doesn't have to be your truth, then you can understand. And when you say, when the speaker said to me, you always have a choice. Every day you go to work, you're going to face challenges, and people are going to try to caveat you perhaps. People are going to try to tell you what you can't do. People are going to tell you that this is not a job that's suited for you, or they're going to tell you all of these things. They may even oppress you. They may even discourage you. But you always have to remember you have a choice on what you believe about what people say. You have a choice on how you react. You have a choice. You have a choice. If you believe that you can, and you always have a choice about the things that happen and the things you choose to do in your life, then you'll be able to understand the third point, and that it is never too late. It is never too late to achieve a goal. It is never too late to achieve and make and bring and experience a new reality. It is never too late to be your best self. It is never too late to be the best you. And so what I would encourage you, your listeners, and others who might hear this experience is to remember, over the 32 years that I've worked for the Social Security Administration, I've known challenges in my career. I've known, not only in my career but in my life, I've known people who said to me that you are too well dressed, and or that you are too articulate, or you are too intelligent, and you intimidate people. But those truths can't be changed. I can't be less than who I am. I refuse to shrink back to allow other people to feel better about themselves. Yet I believe that if I am the best self I can be, I can empower people to be the best they can be.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
I want you to remember that no matter where you go and what you do, be always truthful with yourself and realize that you can make a difference. It is never too late. You always have a choice. And the devil is a liar.
That's right,
you
man. Well
can be the
put.
best, and you can be successful if you believe, work hard, and are truthful with yourself. Remember that growth and change meets at the intersection of hope and opportunity. But you can't make that transition. You can't turn that curve without faith.
That's right.
And you got to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in the higher power. I really do appreciate you allowing me to participate tonight and share with you. Hope something was said that was helpful to someone. And
yes.
All right.
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely. Now hold the line, ma'am. In the show, so hold the line so we can, say our goodbyes, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate Mr. Johnson coming on and sharing his experiences, his knowledge, his life. I said he dropped some real valuable content to us tonight. Anybody thinking about moving to leadership or having problems on a job, or you're looking around, you don't see enough, people look like you, it's okay. Like you said, just believe in yourself and just keep moving forward. Now, I just want to say good night to everybody. Continue to browse our website. We have so much content out there. We have so much value. Tell a friend, share us on Facebook, all your social media, because I'm trying to get 1 million views so I can go on Oprah. So take care, everybody. This is Jerry Royce. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in to the Positive Power 21 Network. Team 21 would like to thank you all for tuning in, and please spread the word and tell a friend. This is Jerry Royce at Positive Power 21, where we get our positive on.